Hello everybody, and welcome to my PAX Postmortem 2014. This is coming a little bit later than I expected. Unfortunately, my webcam ended up giving me a lot of problems. For some reason it was breaking. It was breaking OBS, it was breaking the actual program I used to record. It was breaking every time I tried to use it in general, so I just went out and I wiped out the drivers. I had to reinstall the drivers, restart my computer. It was a process, and I was finally able to get it working, so this vlog is coming out a little bit later than I officially expected, but here it is as promised. With this vlog, I'm going to talk about my experiences with PAX, my first time going as media, what I got to do, what I didn't get to do. I'm also going to apologize for my scruffy beard and my absolute need for a haircut, and the cool people I got to meet, and YouTubers and fans both. So let's get down to it. So first and foremost, I met a few fans. It wasn't that many because it was PAX and a lot of you were able to come out, but for the few of you that I got to meet, it was an incredibly cool experience. You guys were super friendly. I got to take a picture with one. I signed a thing for somebody else. It was really an awesome experience. So thank you for hunting me down, tweeting at me, and finding me. I didn't expect to see any fans there. To see them was surreal. So you guys were awesome, and I hope to see more of you guys in other conventions coming up, whether it be PAX Prime or whatever it ends up being, maybe even PAX South if I end up coming to the Texas one. But that was awesome. I got to meet up with Northern Lion and Rockley Smile and J Smith OTI again, which was awesome to see them. They're just such good people. They're very much like they are on YouTube. You wouldn't expect anything else. RPG and Bear Taffy both stayed at my place. Poor Bear Taffy, I felt so bad. I didn't tell him I had cats, and he is incredibly allergic to cats. So he got to stay the first 2 nights, and then the third night he ended up staying over at Alpaca Patrol's hotel room because he couldn't do it. He was dying. It was just so bad. We went out and bought allergy meds. It just didn't work. On the second night, he ended up staying in my bathroom for an hour with all the doors closed, and then he went out in the hallway of my apartment and laid out there for an hour just trying to get away from the cats, and it killed him. He was really allergic, and it wasn't that, I vacuumed and everything before he came, so it's just cats not working so well. RPG on the other hand was fine. He's, has a cat, so I'm like pointing at my cat for, like, you guys can see my cat there. But that was awesome to have them stay and meet them both in person for the first time after knowing them online for so long. Other people I got to meet, I very briefly got to meet Mike Malbec and Zero Doxy. I was unfortunately super busy. I got to meet BizSnap for like 30 seconds, which was cool. I got to meet Rob Alpaca Patrol for a long time. He's an awesome dude. Dennis is somebody who's not a YouTuber. Oh, excuse me, not a YouTuber. Somebody I play Dota with. I got to meet. Last Grey Wolf was there, who was an awesome guy that I played, and he streams a lot, and I play Dota 2 with often. Just to meet all of these people was just super cool. Player Uno was there. He was an awesome dude too. They were all cool people. To have like this group of 14 people and everybody is able to get along was, that's a rare occurrence. It was like a ton of people. I got to meet Kate too. Kate was there. She's no longer just a mysterious voice. I got to meet Kate, and I hung out with Kate a lot, which was surprising. While Ryan was off doing his appointments, and I didn't have any appointments, me and Kate hung out a bit. It was really cool. It was just a really cool experience, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. Now, that brings me to my first time as press. I was super busy. Last time I've gone to PAX the past 2 years, I've only gone for a day. It was Saturday. I go as an observer. I had fun. This time I got to go, and I think I just did a little too much. I booked lots of appointments at random times. Friday was the only day I didn't really have any appointments booked because I kind of just wanted to get a layout of the show floor. Saturday, I was just packed with appointments. Sunday, I was so exhausted, and I just kind of didn't do anything. I just wanted to go home. And I had a couple of appointments on Sunday as well. It was absolutely insane, which was great because I was super happy to do it, but I think I'm going to do things a little bit differently next time. But for the people I had appointments with, it was great stuff. It was really good. So I'm going to talk about the games I got to see, some of the games I got to play, some of the games I wish I got to see, and maybe some experiences from other YouTubers that told me they got to play the games that I wanted to see. So I got a little list over here. I'm going to keep looking over here to refer to it. Pardon me while I do it. So first thing I want to talk about is the Oculus Rift. That was one of the biggest things I wanted to check out this year, and I got to play 2 games for it. Both of them were indie games, and it was kind of a cool experience. The first one I'm going to talk about was Darknet. Darknet is this kind of puzzle hacking game that is being brought to the Oculus Rift. The idea behind it is that you are being sent into cyberspace and you are hacking and planting viruses in a computer to gain control of it sounded like a bank situation. You're basically like stealing money from a bank by hacking. The first thing that happens when you boot that game up is you're kind of sent into the system and these rings and stuff fly by you. And I remember taking a step back because even it was with the old Oculus, it wasn't with the new Oculus because developers don't have access to that yet. I remember, like, even with it being like low resolution and kind of blurry, as the rings were flying by me, I remember kind of taking a step back and just being a little disoriented because my brain was kind of like, am I in this or am I in reality? And it was a bizarre feeling. The game was pretty basic at its current state. You kind of just look at points and you can, you just hack up into the central area. You get the money and use that money to buy kind of upgrades to hack the next terminal, which is, a little bit harder and whatnot. But overall, it was a very cool experience. And as things are exploding and stuff, like little electronic explosions, I just remember kept like getting a little bit disoriented just because my brain wasn't quite sure what was going on. It was very disorienting. I kept taking a step back and being a little bit thrown off, and it was very, very cool. Virtual reality, I'm not entirely sold is going to be the next big thing, but I can say with a good amount of confidence, just from experiencing it from a little bit, it is not as gimmicky as 3D. 3D was very much a gimmick. I never really expected it to go any further than a gimmick, and I'm glad to see it start dying out. But virtual reality I think we have the technology to make it happen now. And having experienced even that indie game that doesn't even have the backing of a huge publisher, use it to such good effect and have me kind of swaying a little bit, made me a believer. The other game I got to play was Vertigolf for the Oculus Rift. Now, the Oculus Rift implementation for Vertigolf was brand new. They had just told me it was brand new. There wasn't much they could do with it, and you could kind of tell. I didn't really get that disorienting sense with it. In fact, the resolution of the old Oculus Rift even kind of made me feel like it was very much a screen door effect, I think is what they call it. You could tell that you were not there, but it was close enough where there was some cool neatness to it. There was a couple parts playing the golf where the ball was up in the air and you're following the ball as it's falling down. Really, Cat? You're playing with... Don't play with that. Where you're following the ball and kind of diving up and down. That kind of gave you a little sinking feeling. But generally speaking, that particular game didn't do too much to sell me on the game. And if you were there and all you played was Vertigolf, I could see why you might say virtual reality is not really that wonderful. It really seems to depend on the game, and I understand that. So, but from my experience, Darknet alone was something worth checking out, and I'm looking forward to playing other stuff. Really, I can see her on my monitor. Maya, you're so dumb. But that's it for my Oculus Rift experience. We'll talk about a little bit about. Well, I'll talk about it now. The Oculus Rift 2.0, I really wanted to try. The problem was, again, my schedule was so packed, and the line for the Oculus Rift 2.0 was like 3 hours long, and I didn't have the time. So, kind of my fault there, but I also don't know if I would have been able to stand up 3 hours wait time to do that. So then most of the things that I spent playing were indie games. I played a lot of indie games. Some of them were awesome. As I hiccup, Jesus, I'm going to take a sip of my iced tea, pardon me. Oh man, that was a weird hiccup attack. So a lot of the indie games were really, really fun. Some of them were meh, but overall they were just it was a really great experience. Indie Mega Booth every year at PAX is awesome, and this year is no different. So the first one I want to talk about is Sports Friends. Sports Friends is an indie game compilation coming out. It's like a lot of mini games kind of thrown in. It's like 4 or 5 mini sports games that are meant to be played multiplayer, and that's really the emphasis on the game. It's a very multiplayer-centric game. If you don't have friends to play it with, I'm not sure you're going to get the full enjoyment out of it. But one of the games in it is Joust. If you don't know what Joust is, I highly recommend you go check out Red Panda Gamer's showing of Joust when the Joust developer came to Chicago to show it off. It's a well-edited, well-shot video. RPG is really good at that kind of thing. Check it out. But the one I played, and I played a bunch of, was, oh god, pole vaulting friends or something? The idea was it was 2-on-2, and you guys both have pole vaults. And there is a string above the level that has a ball on it, and there are 2 goals. And the idea is to pole vault yourself up and to hit the ball and to bring it over to the enemy goal and score. That's so much fun. It's created by the same person who made QWOP, but there's obviously a lot more to it. It's very physics-based because of how the pole vault works. You kind of flail your body across, but it's not so goofy like in QWOP where it's unplayable. It's very, very playable. But it adds for a lot of competition. There was a lot of screaming and cheering as we were playing, and we had a lot of people watching a couple of times as we played. It is just such a simple, fun game that I wanted to keep playing so long as I had people to play with. I went back like twice to play it again and again. It is really, really worth it. So keep your eye out for Sports Friends. Sports Friends is coming out pretty soon. Another one is Video Ball. I didn't get to play Video Ball. Red Panda Gamer played Video Ball, but it's a very similar idea. I think Video Ball came first, technically. But it's got these like little mini sports games that are multiplayer focused, that are really fun and goofy and really exciting. So those two games are awesome. Other indie games that I got to play, like I said, I played Darknet and I played Vertigolf. I also got to see Assault Android Cactus was there. I had never played that game before, and I've played a bunch of it since then. That is a really, really solid twin-stick shooter. I've got actually Judge Mathis on that game coming out. Are you serious? Freaking cat. I can see it. Look at her. Look at her. You can see her. She got that butt wiggle going on. What a crazy cat. So yeah, Assault Android Cactus is a really solid twin-stick shooter. I've got a Judge Mathis coming out on it today, so keep your eyes out for that. It's a really, really fun game. That was really cool. Tower of Guns was there. I've already done a video on that. He was there showing off. It was really cool. I played that for a little bit. Octodad was there, if you haven't played that. That was really fun. I did play that for a little bit too, because I actually never got a review copy for Octodad, and I never ended up picking one up, though I really should at this point. There's no excuse for me not to have the game. That was really fun. What else did I see? There were some really cool things there that I can't really remember. I wrote down the important stuff, but we'll come back to indie games here in a minute. So there were a lot of AAA games there, obviously. One of them, actually, you know what? No, that brings me to the other one. So there's an indie game coming out, and I should have a video on it in the next couple of weeks. It's called Lichdom Battlemage. I got to go watch the video on that and play a little bit of Lichdom, and I have a review copy of it, I think, on Steam right now, actually, that I played a little bit of it before. But Lichdom actually had a really big booth mixed in with the AAA stuff. And as far as I know, Lichdom's actually pretty indie, so for them to have a big booth like that was pretty cool. The idea behind Lichdom, and the way I like to pitch it to my friends when they ask me what it's about, is take instead of having class choices in Elder Scrolls Online, say you only got to be a mage, except the mage didn't suck, and the world is not an open world, so it's like level based. The idea behind Lichdom is exactly that. You get to play magic, but you're not, trapped by mana or, slow casting spells, and it's very customizable in what you can cast. It's all about casting badass spells that have really, really heavy impact and do a lot of cool things, and you can kind of customize how the spells work, and you can manipulate the elements, and you're fighting all these enemies. It's just a really cool, and what I'd like to call badass mage kind of simulation, I guess. Badass mage simulation? We'll go with it. It is really fun. It's fucking hard, there's no doubt about that, but when you understand how the game plays, you get to play it a little bit, I think you should keep your eye on it. I think it's coming out in August of this year, I think. It might be a little bit later than that. I'm trying to think if they gave me an actual time. But it was cool. It was really cool. The demo they had to show off there was very polished. The alpha on Steam that you can buy early access to right now is a little bit less polished, but it has the same general idea and feel, obviously, to it. It was fun. It was really, really fun. I'd be curious to see what it turns into and how it develops over the next few months. It's solid, though. I really enjoyed it. AAA stuff. I didn't really play any AAA games. I have read a lot on what the impressions were, but most of the AAA games were ridiculous. For instance, Evolve. If you did not have an appointment to play Evolve, you were waiting 4 hours or more to play that game. If you don't know what Evolve is, it's created by the same people who created Left 4 Dead, except they kind of split away from Valve and are now doing their own thing. And it's a 5-person multiplayer game. Instead of a 4v4 like like in, what do you call it, Left 4 Dead, it's 4v1. You are 4 hunters on an alien world hunting a giant monster. The only monster that was available to see in the demo was the Goliath. I think there's going to be a multitude of monsters that you get to play. And, you know, I talked to Ryan Northern Lion, who played it because he had an appointment, and it looked really, really cool. I watched an actual match because they were casting matches on it. And the idea is, as hunters, you get to track the monster. You can see his footprints. You kind of follow him through the. You're trying to follow him through the wilderness, and you got to find him and hunt him and kill him. There's 4 different classes, like assault, support, a hunter, and something else, or tracker and something else. And they all have special abilities. Support can heal and do some sniping damage. Assault is straight up DPS. The tracker seems really cool because he can do things like shoot a harpoon into the enemy, into the monster, which slows him down and keeps him kind of close. You can set up cages, so there's like a wall that gets set up around him so the monster can't run away. A really good ability if you're kicking the monster's ass, you don't want him to run away. Just really cool, really cool ideas there. The monster himself levels up. It's almost MOBA style. You like have 4 abilities, and you have like 3 skill points to spend at the beginning of the game, where you can level up these certain abilities. And then as you eat like wildlife and you attack, enemy wildlife and eat them and level up, you can then spend more points into better abilities. But you have to in order to level up, you actually have to eat enough animals to get the experience bar full, and then you need to spend like 5 to 10 seconds actually evolving and morphing. So you're very vulnerable in that state. So you have to get somewhere really safe and really quiet. And then when you evolve, your character lets out a big roar and actually kind of gives away your position, allowing the hunters to start moving your way. So the idea is early in the game, you kind of want to avoid the hunters. You want to maybe pick one off if they separated from the group if you can, but staying away from them, kind of doing your own thing and just eating and growing is the way to go. It looked really fun, and I'm really excited for that game. Other games that I did not get to play but really wanted to was Heroes of the Storm. Heroes of the Storm was another one of those gigantic waits. My friend got to play it. He had patience. I didn't have time to have the patience. So talking to him, he said it's really fun, if a little bit slower pace than he expected. But the idea is it's super low barrier to entry. It is super casual friendly. And it looks like, and he said it was a lot of fun. He carried over, he hasn't played LoL in a long time. He plays very occasionally, but he's able to just dominate there. So if you do have any MOBA experience, it sounds like you're going to walk in with a leg up. But again, it's super easy to pick up and play. The objective-based varying maps really kind of define what that game is going to be about, so I'm excited about that. Other things that I kind of wish I saw, Star Citizen was another one with a gigantic line. Again, I got to talk to Dan Giesling, who works with that game. Actually, he's working with the devs there to do like a reality show where it's called The Next Great Starship, where he's kind of a liaison between the developers and like a few groups of people creating a cool starship. It's just he's played it and he said it's really good. But he kind of has to say that, I guess. But from people I've talked to and read about playing it, the combat module was live at PAX East. And supposedly, it's actually pretty damn good. Obviously, it's a little bit buggy and maybe a little glitchy, and you're not going to get the full extent of what this game is going to provide. But the combat itself apparently feels really good and is very promising, especially for what's hyped and what's promised behind Star Citizen. So I'm really happy to hear that there's actual, development and progress there, and the progress is good, and things are looking really good. Wolfenstein was there, which I didn't give a shit about. The Evil Within was there, which I'm excited for, but didn't give enough of a shit about to wait in line for. Inside, what other AAA games were there? Watch Dogs was there, but was not playable. That's kind of Ubisoft's thing. They did the same thing last year with Assassin's Creed 3. Assassin's Creed 3 was there. It was close to release, but it wasn't playable. Watch Dogs, same thing. You could go watch a video if you wanted to, but I didn't care because it wasn't playable. If it was playable and I had the time, I might have, because this is one of the few AAA games I'm incredibly excited for. So we'll see. I'm excited for Watch Dogs, and we'll see what I end up doing with it. Hopefully, it'll be really fun to play. If anything, I might play it on stream. The new Warlords of Draenor was there. I'm excited for it because I really want to get back in MMOs. I haven't quite found the one to hook me. WildStar was there with a huge booth, and I've played WildStar already, and WildStar is good. It's a really solid MMO. It's a sci-fi World of Warcraft with a couple of Guild Wars 2 twists. Which, hey, whatever. They're not really veering from the MMO path, but they're doing what's comfortable. It's fun for what it is. League of Legends was there with their huge booth in a big crowd the entire time. A couple of games in the indie booth that were there that I was excited about was Planetary Annihilation. It's funny because they had this little setup there with maybe like max 6 computers, and they were doing like a PvP match, and there was a caster there casting the games. There wasn't really a big audience, which is kind of funny, but they were doing it, and it was like so obscure and in the corner. I'm curious why they even did that instead of just letting people play, and having a caster there was kind of awkward. It felt awkward, it looked awkward. I'm not sure why they did it. It didn't deter me from the game because I'm very excited for Planetary Annihilation, obviously, but I'm excited for it. 2K for Axis particularly announced Civilization After Earth, which just sounds like the kind of spiritual successor to Alpha Centauri. I'm excited for it. I love Civilization, and a futuristic space-age civilization where you're colonizing planets, obviously very exciting. Speaking of which, I have access to Galactic Civilizations 3, which I'm going to be doing a video on within a week. I'm really excited for it. And that's it. I mean, a lot of those indie games, I'm trying to think of, I mean, I had so many appointments, and they were all, like I said, a lot of the games I got to play already for the most part. Oh! Devolver Digital. Oh, and Sniper Elite 3. How did I forget? So Sniper Elite 3, let's just cover this real quick. I had an appointment with. And the game is, if you played Sniper Elite 2, it's a very linear level design with kind of this kill cam going on. The excitement for the game was with the kill cam. The levels themselves were kind of weird, and the mechanics of the game were functional. The game was fun. I wouldn't call it amazing, but it was fun. The linearity of it really killed it, because as a sniper, you want the ability to move throughout a level and find good vantage points and stuff. And that's what Sniper Elite 3 tries to do. It looks really good visually. It doesn't change too much as far as gameplay. I mean, you're a sniper, you can't really change that too much. But what they added was kind of a much more open level. So you have a lot more choices as to where you want to perch and snipe. The kill cam still freaking badass as always. And that's something I'm going to keep an eye on, just because Sniper Elite 2, though not one of my favorite games of all time by any stretch, was a fun diversion. And I think Sniper Elite 3, if they could pull off these more open levels, open world type situation, I think it could be a lot better, and I would probably sink more hours into it. Devolver Digital, they had Hotline Miami 2 there, which was what I was really excited for. Oh, and there's another one I want to talk about. We're going to talk about that in a second. This is scatterbrain Mathis here for you. But Hotline Miami 2, the beginning, the part they showed and played, was very similar to Hotline Miami 1. I guess it gets very different later on, but more Hotline Miami, even if it's just a variation on the first one, is freaking fine with me. I loved Hotline Miami. It was such a good game, and I'm so excited for Hotline Miami 2. This did nothing to deter me from that excitement. It is very, very good, and it seemed pretty polished so far, so I'm excited for that. But the indie game that I was most impressed with, one of the most impressive things, I'm going to wrap up this vlog with this, was Gods Will Be Watching. The idea behind Gods Will Be Watching came from a game jam. There was a shorter version of it that was released that people adored, and they were like, we want a full version of this, and they are delivering. And each day they showed a new act, and the idea is, how can you make the difficult decisions to survive? It's kind of a point-and-click survival game, is the best way to describe it. And there's different scenarios throughout, you and your group of survivors. And to kind of give you an example of what I mean by difficult decisions is, do you kill one of your friends or one of the people you're with because you're starving to death and you need to eat and you have no food? Will you make that decision, or will you all die? Or will he make that decision? And there's all kinds of stuff like that. There's a whole torture scene in one of them where someone's all tied up. What do you decide to do, or what do you decide to say as the tortured person? Do you give him the information that he wants, and maybe like sell out your friends, or do you keep the information yourself and let him beat the hell out of you, or maybe even kill you? It is a very interesting and intense game that is not going to hold back and really make you question what you're willing to do. It is super sleek and sexy. It's got this kind of retro pixelated art style that doesn't deter from it at all. It looks actually really good in my opinion. And I am incredibly excited to play Gods Will Be Watching. I am so excited. I think that's it. I think I'm going to wrap this blog up here. There's a lot to chat about. Obviously, I'm 25 minutes in. Unfortunately, I don't have any gameplay. Not a lot, like I said earlier, not a lot of the devs wanted to play ball with sending me builds and stuff, and I didn't really get any B-roll, unfortunately. But there is a lot to talk about, and I'm excited to see what PAX is going to bring in the future. I'm going to hopefully be at PAX Prime. So if you're going to be in Seattle for PAX Prime at the end of August, I'm hopefully going to be able to go. We'll see how that ends up going. Thank you guys again. If you have any questions about games, ask in the comment section below. And if I know anything or saw it, maybe I just forgot, which would not be surprising. I saw it and did so much in 3 days. Go ahead and ask, and I will do my best to keep you updated. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you so much for meeting me at PAX if you were there. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.